Baruch Hashem lousy. But like in a profound way, like really like in a profound way. Like Baruch Hashem.
Right.
Lousy. Baruch Hashem.
Emphasis on the Baruch Hashem.
Also on the lousy, because the lousy is also Baruch Hashem. It's all Baruch Hashem, and this is a perfect like starting of Mishpatim. Oh, okay, hold on. I have this. Why did I go there? Okay, fine. And okay, Hannah Sarah is there. I just want to call up something for it to be ready. Amen. 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 So here it is. Here it is. I'm gonna call up something. Wait a minute. Shmot. Shmot. Mishpatim. Okay, I just wanted to call this up. Now, when I'll need to, I'll reference it. And also, I want to apologize if I'm going to answer any phone calls, because I'm always like I'm the one that the hospitals call and the appointments and everything for my mother. I always have to be available for that. Okay, so B'ezrat Hashem, Naseh v'Natzliach. It's Mishpatim. I have so much stuff in my head, and I really honestly like stories and inyanim and new understandings, and I want to share it all. And B'ezrat Hashem, again, Hashem should help me organize it. We'll start with the tefillah. Still, the Chatufim should come home. Heartbreaking about the Beatles family.
If it's true.
If it's true. We
haven't heard it from us yet. We've heard it from them. Right.
Yeah.
They could just be doing psychological.
Yeah, they're
maximum torture.
I don't know if I would start with it. Let's just start with the Tehillim, okay? What?
That's a Tehillim.
That's a Tehillim. Okay, let's do Tehillim, a collective Tehillim for everything that should go right. Put an end to our suffering and the enemies. The Shua should come completely to everybody, whatever they need.
Which one?
Chaf, I'll just say Chaf. So we're including the Chatufim that still have to come home, the Psuim that have to be healed, the broken hearts of families that have to be healed, the broken hearts of every one of us who was with them should be healed, and we should see the Geula Shlema. And you can include anyone else in private that needs it, just add their names. Okay. Lamnatzeach mizmor leDavid. Ya'ancha Adonai b'yom tzara. Yesagevcha Shem Elohei Yaakov. Yishlach ezrecha mikodesh u'mitzion yis'adecha. יזכור כל מנחותיך ועולתך ידשנה סלע. ייתן לך חלבביך וכל עצתך ימלא. נרננה בישועתך, ובשם אלוהינו נדגול. ימלא אדוני כל משאלותיך. אתה ידעתי כי הושיע אדוני משיחו. יענהו משמי קודשו, בגבורות ישע ימינו. אלה ברכב ואלה בסוסים, ואנחנו בשם אדוני אלוהינו נזכיר. המה קראו ונפלו, ואנחנו קמנו ונתעודד. אדוני הושיע, המלך יעננו ביום קוראים. Amen. Okay, and of course the protection of all the family. Everybody. Okay, so where am I going to start? Okay, you know what? I'm going to start with the Zohar Kadosh. That's what came to me now, so I'm going to start with the Zohar Kadosh. How does the Zohar Kadosh begin Mishpatim? You know what Mishpatim is? No, I should. Okay, you know what Mishpatim are? It's the civil laws. It's basically damages, and if somebody is found to be at fault legally within the Jewish system of doing things, they go to a beis din and they fine them, and it's basically all about the punishments of what happens to people who are caught doing things that they shouldn't. Or if their ox or their donkey was in a place that they shouldn't and hurt this thing and that thing, and or if they dug a ditch or a pit somewhere and damaged that, all of these things. Okay. And this is coming after Yitro. And the opening pasuk is Ve'ele hamishpatim asher tasim lifnehem lebriyut. Ve'ele. Everybody wants to know, why is that vav there before the word ele? Ele mishpatim, these are the... How would you translate Mishpatim in the Pshat? These are the laws that you said before them. Laws of Dayanim, of the judges, that this is how you're supposed to handle these situations. So everybody wants to know what's Ve'ele. to connect it to Mamad Har Sinai, to the Aseret HaDibrot, just like these came from Sinai, so these two. We're in the highest levels of Ruchnias, Gilui Shamayim, the Shamayim opened up to us. We're experience godliness on the highest levels. All of a sudden, the next thing we know, it's the worst case scenarios that are presented to us. And what happens if you're caught stealing, if you're caught cheating, if you're caught this, that, and anything, all kinds of god awful things. And the question is, it's like, but the smichut, right? Like this is like right after that. From you have to warn people who just saw God not to do these basic things that any decent human being knows not to do. And the answer is absolutely. And the answer is absolutely. And as a matter of fact, Mefarshei Torah says that these Mishpatim, it comes in the Parsha after Yitro, but actually it was given at the same time, or even slightly before, or at the same, like it in the same moment, okay? Kind of as Yitro. It's like it's part of the same thing, and it's written over there. It's part of the experience. It's part of the revelatory experience that we had. Okay, so we can read the Parsha in the Pshat. Okay, this is what happens. You steal, you brought damages here, there, and that, all kinds of situations, and this is what you do. The Zohar Kadosh goes reads it a whole different other way. Completely different. And this will be the opening of all the other stuff that I have prepared. Patach Rabbi Shimon ve'amar. Oh, I didn't finish my sentence. Why is the Vav there? Ve'ele to connect it to Yitro. Ve'ele. Whenever ele is mentioned without a Vav, something is said in Torah, and then something else is being spoken of, and the word ele is there. These are, so without the Vav, it means what I'm saying now negates what came before. Ve'ele means it's linked to the other thing. It's not posel what came before. It's part of the same experience. So take it as one unit. Okay? Yeah. Ve'ele is lo posel et hakudmim. So just like we know that the high stuff, the high spirituality that we experience come from Sinai, you should know that when you find yourself in these sticky situations, legally, contracts, all kinds of situations, this too is no less ruchani, a matter that you have to deal with, than the other ruchani stuff that we're dealing with.
It's like by us, there's no separation of church and state.
There's no
atmosphere of being a Jew. That's what
there's an atmosphere of being a Jew, but the tendency is, and I have something from the Gemara also that says that there's okay, I'm changing my order. I keep changing my order, but it's okay. I said it's okay, whatever. So this is in Masechet Shabbat, Daf Yud Aleph. It says here, it's speaking about two rabbis, Rabbi Chisda Rabba Bar Rav Huna. Rav Chisda Rabba Bar Rav Huna. I always tell my kids, if I had another son, not possible now, but if I had another son, I would call him Huna, because I think it's just an awesome name. Rav Huna. It's like, and then they're so happy that I'm not having any more kids, because they would not want that on any of their siblings. But okay. Yeah, this Rav Huna, because you know what? I knew a Rav Huna. There was a Rav Huna, and he worked in Yeshivat Keshev with the teenagers at risk. I had something to deal with him, and I spoke, and I thought he was awesome. And then I started learning things that Rav Huna and the Gemara said, and he's an awesome guy. I mean, they're all awesome, but like there's certain things, stories that I just connected to, and it's like, whoa, he's okay. So anyway, so Rav Chisda Rabba Bar Rav Huna, they were dayanim. Hayu yatvei bedina. They would sit in judgment. Kule yoma, all day. And then they had a thought, Hava kachalish libahu, but their heart at a certain point became weak. Tana lahu. Oh, because so why did their hearts grow weak? They're saying, all day long, we're sitting with these cases, all of these issues that people come to us, and we have to listen to this one and that one with all their stuff that they go through. And it's mundane stuff. It's stuff of life, right? It's like the mundane stuff. And what's going to be with their Torah learning? It's taking them away from Torah learning. They had the whole day, they're just busy with this. Their head is in the gashmius of this world, listening to all the litigants that are coming to them. And so there was another Tana that came to them, Rabbi Chia Bar Rav, and he came from a certain place. Yeah, and he says, "What are you complaining about? You know who you're in company with? It says about Moshe Rabbeinu, last week's Parsha, in the beginning, Vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'erev." There's no bittul Torah here. He's trying to say, you think that's what his mind is just on the stuff that they're coming to him? He's connecting everything to Torah. Nothing in this world happens that's not Torah. Because as a Jewish judge is deciding what the emet lamito is, what the truth is. I don't know how to translate emet lamito. Anyone?
The true truth.
The true truth. The
Better
absolute.
in Hebrew.
Emet
No, it's
lamito.
like when Nathan came to
Mazal emet lamito. Right. Okay. So he says, but they have to review all of the Torah sources to know what the correct judgment is. So it's Torah. What does the Torah say happens when this happens? And they have to listen carefully, and they have to pay attention, and they're not allowed showing favoritism, and they have to, all kinds of laws. To be a Jewish judge is not easy. Also, because if the Jewish judge doesn't do it properly, the wrongful judgment that he issued because he wasn't careful ends up going on him. It gets absorbed. So it's not. Moshe Rabbeinu had to convince the people to be judges that it's a real schus and a big maila, not because they were scared not to do it. They didn't want to do it. It's like, what? I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to get hit for it. Yeah. So Rabbi Chia says, "Vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'erev v'chitale al datcha sheMoshe yoshev dan kol hayom kulo lomar lecha shekol dayan shedan din emet," that every judge who judges a true judgment, לעמיתו, אפילו שעה אחת, even 1 hour, על כן מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו נעשה שותף לקדוש ברוך הוא במעשה בראשית. They become like a partner with God for creating heaven and earth. Now, the Meforshim on this, why heaven and earth? Why is that the thing that they come to describe? Because it says about Moshe Rabbeinu, ויעמוד העם על משה מן הבוקר עד הערב. What's that hey doing there? Min haboker ad ha'erev. Min boker ad ha'erev. You don't need the hey. The hair seems to be superfluous. It's an article meaning like the morning, and to emphasize, we're talking about a particular morning and a particular evening. V'erev v'boker. Av maseh breshit. V'erev v'boker. That one. So it's correct judgments, bringing tikkun to the world through proper judgments, through judging things properly, through coming with proper mishpatim, sentences. It is nothing short of creating a reality, bringing emes to the shamayim and aretz. Like there was a corruption, and by bringing judgment, it's a tikkun, and it's mamash. You're creating heaven and earth all over again in a purified way, no more mitukan, where you become a shutaf, become a partner with Hashem, just like Hashem leaves a little bit for us to do. The famous story of Turnus Rufus the Rasha, and it's fun to say his name, but he's an evil person. So I feel bad about like enjoying saying Turnus Rufus. He's a real bad guy, and he was living in the. It's like almost like the one who should not be named. That's how evil he was, and Rabbi Akiva, and so he was challenging them. Okay, and the whole thing about the bris. If Hashem does everything great, why do you have to come in and correct something that Hashem did? He says, no, Hashem is bara Elokim lasot. Yeah, bara Elokim lasot. He left a little bit for us to asot, to make us partners shutafim. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, so it's a big thing to come up with proper judgment. Okay, and the question is, and the point is to do it, as the Gemara says, emet la'amito. You have to do it according to the exact truth. You have to be exacting. You have to be meduyak. You have to be very meduyak. Maze meduyak? precise. You have to make sure that you look at everything, you listen to everything, you examine everything, you weigh everything, and with a heavy heart and and with a lot of deliberation. It's not a matter of taking it lightly. You have to make sure that once the judgment comes, once you come to a judgment, it has to be emet lamito. Now, we're not judges, but we can learn from this from ours. When something comes to our way, we have to know how to properly judge things, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to go into the Zohar Kodesh. פתח רבי שמעון ואמר, ואלה המשפטים אשר תשים לפניהם. These are the statutes, laws that you should put before them. Judgments you should put before them. These are the laws of, okay. Targum. Ve'ilein dinei di tesader kadmeon. These are the dinim, the laws that you should put before them. Ele otam sidurim shel hagilgul. Rabbi Shimon says, you know what this is talking about, this whole Parsha? It's about Gilgulim.
Wow.
It's about Gilgulim. Dinei haneshamot shenidonu kol echad v'echad lekabel onsho. These are the judgments of souls that were judged, and this Parsha is talking about the punishments that a person has to come back as a Gilgul for, and what happens and unfolds in a person's life is all a matter of Gilgul. כי תקנה עבד עברי, 6 שנים תעבוד, ובשביעית יצא לחופשי חינם. Should you buy, acquire an עבד עברי, a servant, a Jewish servant. I'm pausing now because I read somewhere in Chacham Menachem Menashe this morning that he brought the question, why does it say עבד עברי? It should be, כי תקנה Ivri, Eved. Should you acquire a Jew to be for you a slave? The arrangement of the words Eved Ivri, there's no such thing as an Eved Ivri. And Ivri becomes an Eved because of some wrongful thing that he did, and now he has to pay it off through being a slave. There's no jail. There's no concept of jail in Judaism. You put them with a good family, and then he learns rehabilitation in that family, and not to go back to his ways. So it's problematic to say Eved Ivri. So Chacham Menachem Menashe says, why is it said like that? Why isn't that Kitikne Ivri Eved? He should be for 6 years. Because the truth is that we're all Avadim for Hashem. Eved Ivri means, why is it so bad that he did what he did? This person, this thief, because he forgot that he was an Eved Hashem. He forgot it was an Eved Hashem, and now he has to be an Eved to some other. He was an Eved to his Yetzer Hara. He was an Eved to all kinds of things. And now he has to have another master over him. And then if he doesn't want to leave after 6 years, Bechlal, it's like problematic. Don't you realize you're an Eved Hashem? Hashem tells you you should be free to be my Eved, but that's freedom, the chirut, to do the will of Hashem. Yeah, and so it is correct to say Eved Ivri because we need to be an Eved Ivri of Avdei Hashem. Okay, that was like a tangent, a little sideway. Now, כי תקנה עבד עברי ו6 שנים תעבוד ושביעית יצא לחופשי חינם. Should you acquire yourself an עבד עברי, 6 years he should work, and in the 7th he should be set free. חברים, Rabbi Shimon says, חברים, חבריה קדישה. הזמן כעת לגלות כמה סודות נסתרים של הגלגול. Now it's time to reveal secrets about Gilgulim. I wish I was there to hear him say that. Just Rabbi Shimon. כי תקנה עבד עברי 6 שנים יעבוד. Should you acquire an עבד עברי, 6 years he shall work. כשהנשמה התחייבה בגלגול, when a neshama is obligated to come back as a Gilgul. Why is a neshama obligated to come back as a Gilgul? They lived their life in a way that wasn't metukan, and instead of Gehinom, they come back as a Gilgul. Gehinom is so much easier. Everybody says this, wherever you open up the sources. Genom is so much easier than a Gilgul. Because Genom is like 12 months and you're done. You're clean. You went through the wash cycle. You're done with it. But a Gilgul, you come back for another 70, 120 years.
And you don't know what you have to do.
You know what the possibility of tripping up again and doing even worse? Like what? It's like, it's horrible. You have to go through this whole life again. It's hard. Just having
To help, they come back with different.
for different things and by choice. Right? That's a different word. No, but most of the time, it's the mechanism is there in order to be a corrective measure, to be a tikkun, because Hashem is rachamav al kol ma'asav, and there's always a chance to do tshuva. If you didn't do it in one lifetime, you'll come again and again and again. Sometimes as a rock, sometimes as a flower, sometimes as an animal. If you're lucky, you'll come back as a human. I don't know how lucky that is, but but if they come back as a rock,
You know you're a rock.
they know they there's a consciousness there. There's a tremendous suffering for the neshama to come out in such a gilgul. Okay, and the gilgulim of tzaddikim, they come because of other people. Nebuch, there's in gilgulim, and they come to help them, not because of it's by choice. כי תקנה ודברי 6 שנים יעבוד, כשהנשמה התחייבה בגלגול, when a neshama is obligated to come back as a גלגול, אם היא מצד אותו העבד, שהוא כולל 6 צדדים, כתוב בו 6 שנים יעבוד. גלגולים שלה לא מתחייבת, אלא 6 שנים, עד שמשלימה 6 דרגות מאותו המקום שקרה. I'm not going to go into the whole, and then he goes into details, אבל אם הנשמה היא מצד השכינה, whenever we hear 6 plus 1, 6 plus the 7, it's there's a code there. We have 6 days of the week and Shabbos. We have 6,000 years of Olam Tikkun, and then the seventh Geula, okay, Shabbat of the worlds of the millenniums. You also have the 6 tzavot, six directions, like of the Magen David. In the middle is like the Shabbos. What? Shemitah and Yovel. The Shvi'i, the 7th is always the freedom. So he goes into it. If your neshama comes from the 6th, or if it comes from the 7th, it's a whole different other experience of the neshama in the Gilgul here. But people who come in a Gilgul is because they did damage on one of the 6 directions, one of the 6 sfirot, and then they pick and choose and which aspect of the neshama they want to be metaken, and then and it goes into how many tries we have at it, how many attempts of Gilgulim do we have, and it seems to be. It's not for us. This is a discussion for the Mekubalim, and I read a little bit about it, but I read conflicting ideas, so I'm gonna just leave it.
Wait, what's the end of that sentence? So when Hashem comes back for Tikkun, then what? There's all these different possibilities. I mean, what were you going to say about that? You didn't finish
No,
that
okay, so I
sentence.
didn't say. The point was from the Gemara is that we have that this Mishpatim has to do with Gilgulim. Now I'm going to continue with my shir, okay? Just like that. It's like that. We come and we're
It's
just
always connected to something from before. And
our hardships are necessarily connected to that which needs fixing from a previous Gilgul. Necessarily.
That's a klal
It's
gadol
a klal gadol.
for every person, for every Jew.
Yes.
Pretty much.
If you're here
People-
in this world,
People want to know, what's my tafkid? What's my mission? Well, what's your different? What do you keep banging your head against over and over and over again that you need to get? What's your tikkun? Why do you have it? Because it's your tikkun. And then there's Gemaras that speak about tzaddik veralo, rasha v'tovlo. So the Gemara speaks about it like there's mazat tzaddik veralo. He's a tzaddik in this Gilgul, but he was a rasha. He's a ben. He was a rasha in a previous Gilgul. Rasha v'tovlo. He was a tzaddik that now became makulkal. All kinds of permutations. I'm just giving you a little bit. There's a whole big discussions and all kinds of ways that this works out. Culminate. Yeah.
Wait, can you be a tzaddik and then come back as a rasha or no?
There's always a possibility to mess up. We know that people in this world that we hear about in the Gemaras also, that there was Rav Eliezer Durdai in Masechet Vodazar. He was a real his whole life until the last minute of his life.
Is that the Cohen that went off?
No, no. I'm gonna say that on
Or you read about him,
the
right?
no.
No.
No, I don't think so. But he learned Torah in order to know exactly how to go against Torah, and he had a pet sin, which was women, and he
Oh, that one.
every woman, and he paid he did everything. One time he went to a faraway place, he had to cross rivers and mountains until he gets there. He had to climb up.
The famous Kadesha, right? She was the famous.
Yeah, he had to climb
Yeah,
up
she was
10
like-
golden beds to reach her, and once he gets there,
The tzitzis hit him in the face, right? Something like that.
no, she lets off gas and she says, "For this I came."
For this I came.
Gemara says the story. I didn't make
I
it
know.
up. You can't
Gemara-
make these things up. You just cannot make these things up. And so she says, what is this? And she says, this gas will pass and you will never amount to anything. And she says, you're giving me Musar? She gives him Musar. And he goes and she's like, chutzpah. She's giving me Musar. But then it's like, it gets him to do tshuva. It gets him to re-examine his whole entire life. Her words stayed with him. I'll amount to nothing. And he's crying and he's asking all kinds of everything to help him. The angels over the trees and the angels over the mountains and angels over the rocks. Because he sat on a rock in some forest and he knew a lot of Torah. He didn't use it for the good way, but he knew a lot of, so he knew that and nothing here in this existence hears without some ministering angel giving it its power to be what it is. And then they're all blowing him off. We have our own problems. Before we deal with you, we have our own things to take care of. And he puts his head between his legs and he starts crying. Really does tshuva from the bottom of his heart. He dies like that. He dies from heartache, regret for every single thing that he did throughout all those years. And then, so Rabbi Yehuda in Israel, so this is not in Eretz Yisrael, he traveled far away from her, but Rabbi, because he had Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah and everything like that, when this Eliezer died from heartache doing tshuva, he says, let's say Kaddish for our friend, Rabbi Elazar. And everybody said, you're calling him Rabbi? Like what got him? So then what Dina said, Yesh Adam shekoneh olamo b'sha'ah achat, there's a person that can acquire his whole world, olam haba, with 1 hour, like whatever.
Don't count on it.
Don't count on it. Don't try this at home and don't get any funny ideas from him. But the thing is, you can live a whole life as a Rasha, and in the last minute, save your soul. That doesn't mean that there's no consequences,
Right.
that you don't have to go through the punishments. Ela Mishpatim. There's consequences. A person who does tshuva still has to pay back what he stole. And if it's corporeal punishment because they murdered, and corporeal punishment means a life for a life, like hanging or stoning or whatever it is, that's part of the tshuva to accept that upon themselves, and that will be the cleansing of their neshama. But at the same time, why did I even tell you this story? Because there's a story also about a rabbi, a Kohen. No,
But his whole life he was like, Mama.
he was a tzaddik, and on his deathbed, he called into question everything, and he died a Russian. He lost everything, because when you regret a good thing that you did, it's like you're taking away, you're canceling all the credit that you had for all the good that you did. Chas v'shalom, you should never do a favor and say, I'm sorry I did it. Ever. It's a scary thing. So even in the last, you can live a whole life tzaddik. You can say, well, it's the mitzvahs that he did should come to help him. The only thing that comes to help a person is the Torah that they learned, actually, and not the mitzvahs that they did and regret it. They don't come to their. I'm just saying things that I learned. Okay, so now, so how are we gonna continue from this? So I read here. I didn't bring my book. I photocopied from Netziv Shalom. Okay, Mishpatim. I opened up. Let's see what the Netziv Shalom says, and he has like this. that these Mishpatim, נאמר לישראל שהוא דרגה גבוהה יותר מדבריו ליעקב. Hold on, I have to go back. There's a pasuk in Tehillim that says, Magid, wrong glasses. Okay. Okay, here we go. There we go. I missed my bifocals. My, not bifocals, my progressive lenses. Okay. Okay, in Tehillim, it says, Magid v'rav leYaakov chukav mushpatav l'Yisrael. Magid. And that pasuk in Tehillim is a reference to Aseret HaDibrot in Parshat Vayitro and Mishpatim, the following, like our this week's Parsha. And okay, Magid v'rav leYaakov elu Aseret HaDibrot. The Midrash says, Magid v'rav leYaakov. He says his words over to Yaakov. This is a reference to Aseret HaDibrot. Chukav u'mishpatav l'Yisrael elu ha'mishpatim. Now it's interesting that the name Yaakov and the name Israel is mentioned in the same pasuk, which is on a higher spiritual level. Yaakov or Israel. So Israel is mentioned in reference to Mishpatim, and Yaakov is a name referenced when you're speaking about Aseret HaDibrot. You'd think it would be opposite, because they're on a higher elevated state, experiencing Hashem, revelation. My God, the heavens opened up to them, and yet the Mishpatim are even on a higher level. It says here, this is the high madrega of these Mishpatim, these so-called mundane laws that no decent human being would think of being caught doing the stuff that's mentioned over here in this week's Parsha. Okay? And yet it's on a high madrega, כל כך של המשפטים, ועוד שבמשפטים נאמר לישראל, שהוא דרגה גבוהה יותר מדבריו ליעקב.
Isn't it like similar kol she'masa gadol mihachmato hachmato miskayim, the old kol she'achmato gadol mimasim hachmato lo miskayim? It's kind of like the same idea. Like you could know a lot, but still not be a righteous person.
Okay, let's see how it says. Let's see how it's going to unfold here. Kol dayan shedan din emet lamito. Now he's taking Hashem is taking the words directly from the Gemara. Kol dayan shedan din emet lamito. Any judge that judges din emet lamito, he really did his job. Very vigilant, very careful. Ne'esa shutaf lakadosh baruch hu b'maaseh breshit. This we got from the Gemara. שהעמידו את הדיין שדן דין אמת לאמיתו במדרגה נשגבה כזו שנעשה שותף לקדוש ברוך הוא. That a judge who does din emet is elevated and is likened and becomes a partner with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. B'maaseh breshit. So now he's saying we have to understand ma godel kedushat hamishpatim shem b'madregat. What is this? What are we talking about? What is it, these mishpatim that elevates a person to a place, to such high place? Okay. So okay. That וזהו שאומר אחרי מגיד דבריו ליעקב לא עשו כן לכל. Okay. Now, these laws is specific. This statement about judges is specific to Jewish judges, not to courts of law of the nations of the world. And there's a big inyan to go to a din Torah and not to go to civil courts. There's a very big inyan. Now we're going to learn about it, okay? בפרש הלשון אמת לאמיתו. What does it mean, אמת לאמיתו? יש לומר על פי המובא בספרי הקודש, המעשה ידוע מהבש. Brings over a story of the Baal Shem Tov. שאדם אחד בא לדין לפני רב גדול, ויצא חיה בדינו. Someone came to a din Torah, and he was found guilty with based in Torah, okay? But then this person who was found guilty, he was a big rabbi, and I don't know what the case was, but somebody claimed that he owed him money, and the judges found him guilty. Chayab. Now this rabbi says, "Okay, it's din Torah. I'll follow whatever you say." But he goes after to the Baal Shem Tov. I think it's the Baal Shem Tov. It says here it's the story of the Baal Shem Tov. But he says, "But I know that I innocent. Like I'll accept it. It's a din Torah. I'll follow it. But I know 100% that I'm innocent. Omnam yodea ani bevirush haTorah emet. I know that the Torah 100% is truth. V'dvar Hashem emet v'kayam. The words of the Torah are emet v'kayam la'ad, forever. Ve'eni mefakpek shadin nifsak be'emet. I'm not calling into question that the judges did their due diligence, whatever they call that, when the judges do their job properly. And I know that according to what was presented before them, they did a good job, and they had no choice but to come about with this psak. Al pi din Torah. Aval, ani le'atzmi yodea shelo kach haya ma'aseh. But I know for a fact that it wasn't exactly how it happened. Be'emet eini chayav l'shalem leba'al hadin. I don't owe this person a thing. Now the question is, ha'ech yityashvu shtei amitot elu kechad. How do these two truths sit on one? The Torah, they did their job. They came up with a psak, but I'm innocent, and I owe somebody money that I don't really owe them. How do you put so he's not calling into question they didn't do their job. How could both things be correct? And he was answered, do you know? Do you know that in a previous Gilgul, only the Baal Shem Tov can see into an Hashem and see.
We don't have the Baal Shem Tov.
But we have Emunah Pshuta. Okay, 1 second. Shebegilgul hakodem, in a previous Gilgul, you were owing this person money. V'lachen yaradet hashuv, and that's why you had to come back as a Gilgul. Then you had a Tikkun to do with this person. You had this stain on your record. V'lachen yaradet hashuv le'olam hazeh kedei shetifra lo et hachov. So you came into this world so that you can give him back what was due him. Min הגלגול הקודם. הפירעון יהיה באופן שעל פי המעשה של עכשיו, and the way that you are going to clean up the previous Gilgul's misdeed is exactly how it came about, how the story unfolded in this Gilgul. יהיה באופן שעל פי המעשה של עכשיו אינך חייב לו כלום, that in this Gilgul, it seems like in the face of it, you owe him nothing. You didn't do anything. You're a tzaddik, gamor, Talmid Chacham tzaddik gamor. But you still have to pay the chov. And so a story unfolded to bring you into a din Torah, for you to be falsely accused in this Gilgul, but not really falsely accused from a previous Gilgul. V'lachen yatsa kacha psak, and that's why the psak din came out the way it is. Now, we can ask questions about this. Do the Dayanim, the judges, they don't have the eyes of the Baal Shem Tov. They're not the Arizal. Do they know that it's because of a Gilgul that they're punishing him for? They don't have an authority to do that. The laws of judges is they judge only with what is presented before their eyes, through witnesses, what they hear and what they see, and according to the questions that they ask. And according to the chokhmah of the Torah, of what comes before them. Their esek is not previous Gilgulim. That's none of their business. That's not how we live our lifetimes. We have this lifetime to deal with the situation, the circumstance of this lifetime. It's irrelevant. But yet, this wrongful thing was corrected in this way. Now, listen to this. פסק על פי תורה. ובזה מפרשים, בזוהר הקדוש, ואלה משפטים. That's why in the Zohar, this whole Parsha, this whole Parshat Hashavua, all of everything, single thing. A father sells his daughter to be an ama because of this, that, and that, all kinds of crazy situations. What father would give his daughter? Talking about neshamas, talking about everything, and Rabbi Shimon and the Zohar goes into it. And it's all about Gilgul Neshamot, ve'ela Mishpatim, because ve'ela Mishpatim, Din Raza de Gilgule. These are the dinim of the secrets of Gilgulim, shal pi Torat HaMishpatim nifreim kol hacheshbonot bein ish l're'eu, that all of the nifreim kol hacheshbonot. מה זה חשבונות? All of the unsettled accounts from previous Gilgulim come and are settled here between one person and another. Al pi raza di Gilgul, according to the secret of Gilgulim. We think we know who we're sitting next to. We think we know who this person is that just cut us off in line or honked at us on a. We think we know. We know nothing. Everything is meduya. Zeu perush emet lamito, and that's what emet lamito is. That's why it's a double emet lamito. It's not just emet in this world. It's emet lamito. In the bigger picture of the truth of all generations. Emet hainu ma she'etzem hadin emet al pi din Torah, that the emet of the judges in this lifetime, al pi dinei Torah, according, if they do everything according to Torah, is le'amito shu mechuvan al pi hacheshbon miraz de gilgula. Now, it gets better because it's there says there that I'm trying to find it. Okay, I can't find it. Okay, that wherever there is Dayanim sitting and in judgment, oh, he says it. He says it here. The Shekhinah is with them. When the judges are sitting, and if they learn to be a posek and to be a dayan, and they're really honest to goodness, tzaddikim and talmidei chachamim, and they don't show favoritism, and they don't accept bribes, and they don't do anything out of whatever they're against the Torah, they approach it lishma, and according to the rules of the game, the Shekhinah is there to direct the judgment according to emet la'amito. So let's read how he says it. V'zeu ve'ela mishpatim k'muva berashi, vav mosif al inyan rishon, ma rishonim misinai אף אלו מסיני, כשם שעשרת הדיברות הם גבוה מעל גבוה, שנפתחו כל זין ריקים וברור הכל שאין עוד מלבדו. Saying. So ve'ela mishpatim, just like Rashi says, these are linked to Har Sinai with the vav achibur. It's and these also, just like Aseret Dibros were from a very, very high place, that all the seventh heavens opened up to them, and everyone saw that ein od milvado, she'ein od shum koach ba'olam zulato, there's no other power other than Hashem. Kach mishpatim kulam hem davar Hashem, gavoa hagavoa mal gavoa. So too, these mishpatim, everything is exactly according to Hashem. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have judges that are corrupt. It doesn't mean that you have that you. But we're talking about when tzaddikim do it. When you go to a Beis Din Torah, and you're allowed to choose your dayanim, by the way. You're allowed to choose which city you go to a Beis Din, and there's laws of these. Like nobody can force you into a Beis Din that you don't agree with. You can choose a Beis Din of your choosing, according to who you think is like a real tzaddik and emes, and they're going to do their job. כמו שכתוב בראם ולבוש דמה עשרת הדיברות בקולות וברקים, אף משפטים בקולות וברקים. בבאר אברהם, אוקיי, ולכך כתובה בו שם. אמת לאמיתו כאילו נעשה שותף. Hold on, I'm trying to get to the place. Oh, here it is. Here. The madrega of this, וכל זה מלמדנו. All of this is teaching us את גודל המדרגה של דין תורה. All of this is to teach us the high madrega of a din Torah. When you go to a Beis Din, a din Torah, hanesa al pi mishpatei Hashem, that's done according to the laws of Hashem. Eze kedusha shora b'din Torah. You have no idea how much kedusha is in this Beis Din happening at that time. Sheshlosha sheyoshvim b'din, that three judges are sitting together. B'din shchina shura b'nehem, that the shchina is with them. Shemilvad עצם הדבר שכל המשפטים הם סודות התורה, that aside from the fact that all of these mishpatim are tremendous deep secrets of Torah, as are the עשרת הדיברות, יש בזה גם המדרגה של שכינה. You also have the additional מדרגה that the שכינה is there, שדבריך אמת וקיים לעד ואין מקום לטעות. That the שכינה is going to make sure that the judgment is going to be according to אמת לאמיתו. The bigger picture. So if a person says, the Din Torah found me guilty, but I know that I'm innocent, if a din Torah, if the psak din from a base din found you guilty, you're guilty. Maybe not in this lifetime, but just accept it. I'm reminded of what this crazy story that you just went through with this, right? Okay.
I mean, some of his Musar baked it's pretty heavy, right?
What?
Some of his Musar baked if they agreed to go to a baked in,
Yeah.
and then they.
Oh,
refused
it's
to hold
horrible.
them, It's like the what?
They what?
They're Musar, they go to a baked in, they.
And they
agree to
don't
go,
agree
and
to
then they
follow
don't
the
agree
judgment
to
of the
follow
Beis Din.
what the judgment-
It's a horrible thing. It's like slapping the shechina in the face. It's like it's and then not only that, it's suicide because they're just digging their own hole even deeper. They're entrenching their own suffering with another gilgul or worse, So why is it a vicious cycle?
Because if your gilgul is for this particular thing and now, you're not really guilty, but, you have to pay the price. What about all the new mistakes that you make in this gilgul that you have to come back in the next?
No, okay,
gilgul
so
and fix?
don't make mistakes.
Well,
So learn Torah and do tshuva and
I'm gonna be gilguling for.
no, you won't.
No,
They're-
you only
they're-
get a certain.
you only get a certain amount. Also, I'm
not endless.
one of my Mikubel friends, okay, explained to me that's not even that. It's like you come back for Googling for the nefesh and for the ruach and for the neshama. It's like we have like 3 people in us. We have a lot of people in us, but we think we're just one person. But really, it's like and then to be metak in the nefesh is a certain amount of Gilgulim that we get licensed to come to, and the ruach a different amount, and the neshama is
But,
depending on where the kilkul is and what needs. It depends. It's even that like it's true what you're saying, but even that is a simplified way of understanding what it's complicated. It's not for us. You find him a kubal and pick his brain and let him explain it to you. Okay, but there is why did I get excited from this? Because you can relax. Like this teaches me to relax. If there's an injustice, and we know that we're say Hashem, it's for you have my soul's best interest in mind. If this is a suffering that I have to go through, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I have other things I wanted to share with you. So the dayanim, the judges are drawing down the shechina to be with them. There's no shayach. It's not shayach.
possibility.
There's no possibility to attribute ta'ut, a mistake to them. Even if it's not intentional, said like it doesn't add up to this world events, this gilgul, this lifetime event. There's cheshbonos, there's accountability from previous things. And then he says the Rambam says the same thing. The Ramban, I think with this I'm going to finish and then I'm going to go to something else. Okay. Okay. So the Ramban says if you have 2 witnesses, edim zomimim. Edim zomimim are they're false witnesses, and they cause somebody to die al pi beis din, to be hung or skila lolein or whatever it is, the punishment, the corporal punishment. If they're found, now the punishment for false witnesses is they get if they're found to be false witnesses, they get the punishment that they wanted that they caused the person to get. If they're found to be guilty before the judgment fell upon the innocent party, okay, they get if it's death penalty, they get the death penalty. Except if the person already went through the death penalty. If the person they falsely accused of a wrongful act that required a death penalty, and it was only found out after the sentence was carried out that they were false witnesses, they don't get killed. They don't get that punishment. Mina Shemaim, they'll take care of them. But the Beis Din doesn't have the authority to do that. Why? Why? You get the scenario?
Because it seems like if Hashem caused that to happen, that was supposed to happen.
Exactly. It's exactly what the Ramban says. Because if the falsely accused person ended up being hung or whatever, al pi beis din, and it was carried out, and only after they was found out that they were false witnesses, it was orchestrated mina shamayim. You don't touch those false witnesses. They're free to go. Shamayim will take care of them in the way Shamayim knows how to take care of them. But the Beis Din has no authority, because according to the Beis Din, if they came up with this judgment, it was correct al pi Shechina Kedusha, al pi Hashem. It was something that had to happen, and it wasn't that the false. It wasn't only because of these false witnesses. The false witnesses it's just an orchestrated scenario. Why should there be false witnesses? You find a guilty person to do a dirty act, and they were probably guilty from other things. And if they were kosher people, such a scenario wouldn't have unfolded through them. Yeah.
So I don't understand, because at one point you say, okay, everything is from Hashem and everything is like
Hey, welcome.
Hashem Shemayim, but then you said before
Okay.
that judges, like if they don't have the right mindset, and if they're not
Okay. So here's another question. Here's another story of the Baal Shem Tov. And this is more of a famous story of Baal Shem Tov. It's actually various versions. I think it's the Maggid of Mizrich. Okay. So somebody came to the Maggid of Mizrich and they wanted to know why is there tzaddik v'ral? We see tzaddikim suffering, all kinds of things, all kinds of abuses, all kinds of disgraces. Like why? There's tzaddik. They should have a good life. And he says, okay, to answer, I'm going to send you to a certain place, and you're going to observe what happens there. You're not allowed to interfere. You're going to see something, and you're not allowed to interfere with anything, because you shouldn't be there. Really, I'm just sending you there because to answer your question, to teach you, for you to get your answer. But you're going to see things, and you have to hold yourself back from interfering. He goes to this place. It's some way and some, I don't know, along the way where people travel, and there's trees around and rocks around, all kinds of things. And he says, you sit in a way that no one's going to see you when you go to that particular spot, and just see what happens. So he goes and he sits, and he sees somebody coming, and there's like a little stream, and there's like a little bench to sit on or something, some good rock to sit on there or something. And he comes very tired, and he figures that a certain person who's on his journey sits there and refreshes himself with the water from the stream, and he feels refreshed, and then he moves on. He didn't notice that his wallet full of all the money that he worked very hard for years, and now he's finally going back home to his city, to his wife, to his children, all this money. He left it, he dropped it there by the stream. He didn't notice it. Now, normally, if you a good person seeing that, they would say, you've lost your wallet here, but the Maggid told them, don't interfere, just let things unfold. So he just, meanwhile, he goes off. Okay, let's call that person Reuven. Okay. Now, Shimon comes, and he also wants to refresh himself on this very comfy looking rock and the stream. And he says, whoa, what's all this money? See, this is a lot of money. Oh, I'm good for a very long time. And I was actually in need of this money, of all this amount of money. I was missing from me all this amount of money. And look at that. There's no simanim. There's nothing, nothing that I can declare it. Somebody lost something. Al Pitura, it's his. He takes it, he pockets it, and he goes.
No,
now the third person comes. Wait a second, a third person comes. Let's call this person Levi. Okay, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. So Levi is now coming, and he sits. He doesn't know from Reuven. He knows nothing about Shimon. He knows nothing about lost money. He knows nothing about found money. He knows there's a rock and there's a stream. I want to sit here. I want to just relax. Meanwhile, Reuven realizes, oh, all that money. He doesn't see it on him. He goes back to that spot, and he sees Levi sitting on the rock. And this happened within a very short amount of time. He says, you thief, where's my money? It clearly dropped. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. I just got here. I'm just minding my own business. You thief. I was clearly here just a few minutes ago. I lost my wallet, but all this amount of money. Pounds him, shakes him, turns him upside down, makes everything like all the pockets Really, he sees none of the money on him. Meanwhile, Levi got a pounding, and he sees, like, oh, so you didn't take the money. Now, this chassid that went to the Maggid Mizrich, asking why tzaddikim suffer, sees this story, he says, I don't understand. Like, you just present me with a scenario intensifying my question. There was an innocent person that got beat up for no reason of his own. A guy lost his money, random, lost his money, didn't do anything wrong. Someone else picked it up,
Got away with it.
got away with it. And he says, okay, now I'm going to explain to you. This wasn't the first time that these three individuals met up with each other. They lived the whole scenario before in a previous Gilgal. The person who lost the money, there was, okay, let's call them Reuven and Shimon. Reuven and Shimon in a previous Gilgal. Reuven, Shimon and Reuven were friends. And Reuven asked Shimon to borrow money. Shimon had the money because he was collecting the money. He was going to buy a house with it, let's say, okay? And Reuven comes to him and says, listen, I need the money now. Can I borrow the money? He says, but I need the money for my house. He says, what's the problem? We're friends. As soon as you'll say you'll need the money back, I'll give it back to you. He gives it to him, no witnesses, didn't write it. Chazal tell us, Al-Bidin Torah, you have to mark everything down. You lend somebody money, you're not being mean, you're not being unfriendly, it's Torah, you write it down. If there's no witnesses, you for sure have to write it down with signatures. There was no signatures in writing anything down, there was no witnesses. Came time for Shimon to need the money back from Reuven. Says, okay, it's time to buy the house, I need my money. And Reuven says, what money? What do you mean, what money? What money? Is it written anywhere? Show me. Where did I take money? What? From what? So they go to a din Torah. They go to a Beis Din, and the judge heard the case, says, were there witnesses? No. Is there anything written down? Any contract? No. But aside from asking those basic questions, the judge was at the end of the day, he was kind of tired, he just wanted to go home, and he didn't do his due diligence as a judge. Okay. So now that was and they all died, and that's how it ended. With no justice to Shimon and his money, and he got away with theft, and the judge got away with being a really lousy judge. Now the Maggid of Mizrich is explaining that in this Gilgal, the person who lost the money is the same Reuven that stole the money from Shimon. The person who found the money was the same Shimon. I'm just calling them by the same names. They come back in different names. Is the one that the money was stolen for, and he already worked for his money. He didn't have to work for it again in another Gilgal, and so he found it. Finders keepers, but it was his money that he found from previous Gilgal. And the one that got the pounding was the judge that didn't do his job. Yeah.
The Baal Shem has so many stories. Like
So
that.
many stories.
Yeah.
It's for time. I had a lot more to share with you, a lot of other yummy stories, but I think we should stop. Yeah. So
To go online to Baal Shem Tov stories and
yeah. So just like if we just like the takeaway from this is like,
don't judge. You can't. You
No,
don't
not-
know
not-
what's going. You don't know anything.
you don't know
You don't know
anything,
anything.
but I'm taking it personally because I'm going through a situation, not with judges or anything, but we meet up with people that are challenging everything, and it's like, why does this person have to suffer? Why is he suffering so much? And I want to help, and it seems like everything is blocked.
And that's the end.
And the answer is like, you can do nothing more than love in this world. What is my obligation in this lifetime? To love and give as much as support I can. If they end up getting the support or not, that's up to Hashem. And Davin. Now, and you know what? Another thing, the last thing I'm going to say, because I really wanted to say this, and this I got from Yaakov Reshevsky from last year's Parsha's Mishpatim. He says, "Ela mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem." The word mishpatim in Hebrew is not just laws and sentences. A sentence. That a mishpat means when you put words, say, I'm speaking sentences to you now, right? Ela mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem, that what the words that come out of our mouth are the same sentences that we're judged by. Chazak. We have to be so careful because we end up sentencing ourselves to all kinds of matzavim depending on how we judge situations.
Oh, yeah, I'm from Adam, the dato,
Bedato v'lo bedato. So when we sentences
If you see someone
according to the sentences that come out of our mouth.
right?
And the sentence that come out of our mouth is a judgment call that we're making. So according to the judgments, according to how we condemn people or giving them the benefit of the doubt or just whatever, this is it's all boomerangs back to us. It says more about us than how we're actually viewing the other person. So you have to be very careful. So that's why I got a lot of chizuk from learning this and preparing this year, because there's only 3 things we can do: love, support, and daven for the right siyata dishmaya, that the right sentences should come out of our mouth. The right tefillot should come out of our mouth. We have to know what to daven for. We see somebody suffering and it's blocked. Hashem, send me, what is the support supposed to look like if it's that type of situation? And what should I daven for? What is the correct davening? And ask for Hashem to send the words of davening, because we don't understand what the person needs. And there is, when you open up your heart for the siyata dishmaya to daven, Hashem will send you the words. There's something will be open with you. Something will fall into your heart. Some clearing will happen in your head. And some siyata dishmaya, Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yigiti letecha. It'll come to us. Bezrat Hashem. Okay, thank you so much.
I think the davening could be that you could understand the pain of the other person.
Yeah, well that's love. That's love. Yeah.
Totally.